Hello, and welcome to Sandra Renee Stanley Ministries. And we are here again today for another good educational interview about what are you going to do with that lemon. So today I'm here with my brother William Stanley, and he's a licensed counselor, LCD counselor, and my good friend Merle Littleberry. She was with Tri-S Counseling and Education. And our topic today is about broken pickers. So we've talked a lot about relationships and why did this happen and why did this happen with this person. And my brother, it's good to have a brother that you can have conversations about, open, honest conversations about. And he told me that sometimes our pickers are just broke, and the people we're picking are not the right people. And then when I mentioned it to Merle, she's saying sometimes people aren't just ready or healed or even, we call it delivered in the church, from our personal issues to even deal with another person. So we're here today to talk about the lemon, which is broken pickers, picking broken relationships, okay? Our producer, Onika, she put together questions from some of the women and people that had wrote in for us to ask these questions when they found out about this topic. I'm going to mention these questions and then give my brother William and then Merle opportunity to give their input, and I'll give my input. So I know over the years I've had issues with relationships, so finally I just said, I'm just going to sit back and wait. But I did know that growing up, me and my brother, my mother raised us as a widow, and so finally I realized that, if you don't know what a good, healthy relationship looks like, sometimes it's hard to have a good, healthy relationships if you don't know, if you've never seen that. So I'm going to ask y'all this question that somebody wrote in. It said, if my picker is broken, how do I fix it? And what lets me know that it's fixed?
Okay. When you've been in relationships and the relationships are over and over and you're still having bad relationships, then might be something wrong with what you're doing or who you're picking. So it's really important at that point, you want to look at yourself and who you've been getting involved with. Sometimes what we like is not good for us. Like my sister says, if you don't know what a good relationship looks like, then how do you pick a good man, or how do you pick a good woman? So if you've been brought up in a abusive relationship from your parents, and that system is broken, and then you might be attracted to men unconsciously that's abusive. So I work with a lot of men and women with domestic violence. So a lot of times the hardest thing for me to do is get them to look at themselves, because they want to fix the other person. And if you're trying to fix the other person and have them fix yourself, then you don't have no power over that other person. The only thing you have power over is yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Merle, what do you want to add to that?
I think piggybacking on the fact that relationships, we have a society that says, oh, I can't breathe with you. There's no me without you. You complete me. And we think that that's neat and exciting. But ultimately, that means if that person leaves, I'm half the person, that I can't be. So I remember one time driving down 20. I don't remember the rap star, but he had a song and it said, I'm a force all by myself, but I'm a whirlwind when we're together. And I almost pulled over because I'm like, here's this young rapper saying, I got this, but together we're even stronger. So ultimately, I think what ends up happening is we do believe I am nobody without somebody. And so the first thing that I talk about, how do we know we probably have our picker off, is first of all, we didn't have any example of what we should be picking. What do I want? And a lot of times in therapy sessions, I'll ask people, if you met your equal, tell me what that would look like. I mean, because we all have an idea of what we think we look like or where we are on that. If you met your equal, would you be good with that? A lot of people say, oh, I would, if I met somebody and they had a good job and they were degreed, I would feel intimidated. So what about you doesn't feel worthy of that? So I do agree with your brother where, tell me who you are. Because a lot of times your picker is wrong because this is where I want to be, And so if we think about like going on vacation or doing something, everything we do, if we have a goal in mind, I want to go here. And everybody wants to go here, but what they don't try to look at is where are you starting from?
Wow. That's powerful.
Because I could put your GPS in there, but if my location was off,
Right.
it's not going to be any help to get to where that. And so I'm like, tell me who you are. Most people, it's going to be, I say 3 words that define who you are. I ask the audience out there right now, 3 words that define who you are. When you come up with those words, now make sure that they're positive and they don't have anything to do with anybody else because, oh, I'm loving. Are you as loving to yourself as you are to others? If you are, keep it. Most likely you're not. You know, I'm caring. Do you care for yourself as much as you care for others? If not, you can't keep it. 3 words that define you all by yourself. To me, how do I know it's fixed? When I can confidently say, these are the words that define me. Now what do I get to compliment? Not complete, compliment me. And so I think when you add somebody to a relationship, like he was saying, if you're gone, it's kind of like having a meal. Hey, I have all this stuff here, and maybe what does wine do? Wine complements my meal. But if I don't have wine, I still got my meal. So make sure that your appetite is fulfilled with everything you have in front of you and look at things to complement you. And I think that's a better place to understand this is where I should be because now things complement me and I don't need to be completed.
Wow, that's powerful. And I want to add too, if you need any counseling, that Merle is Tri-S Counseling and Education. She's a psychotherapist, and also my brother is an LCD counselor. So here's another question. I was married over 20 years, now divorced, unsure about dating. What identifies that I have a broken picker?
How do I identify I have a broken picker? I think, you know, to be honest, I think that's going to be a tough one. If you've been married 20 years, the dating scene has changed.
Yes.
You know, when I listen to my kids, dating really isn't dating. And when you date, you can do this or not do this. So first of all, we have to realize you've been in a relationship that you base everything off of. So how do I know I have a broken picker unless I get into, you know, maybe a relationship and then, you know, I do have women that have been in relationships for a long time and they want to get out. I am concerned because in 20 years, back when we were like maybe courting, which we kind of talked about before the show a little bit, is we used to kind of court. I knew you, at least I knew you were in my school, we were in the neighborhood. Now we're talking to people in Iraq, supposedly. And that's how we're becoming comfortable going into relationships. And so there's so much that we don't know about or we haven't been exposed to. So I think if you're having a lot of excess fear about dating and you're getting out there and you realize you still have that titanium wall and nobody breaks through, that's going to be one way to realize I don't have me together, so I don't want to bring somebody else into that mess. But at the same time, there's a whole new learning curve. If you've been married 20 years, you know, we used to maybe go to a bar or a club or, you know, you're at school. Now you're getting online and going to a website and you don't know who you're meeting. The FBI is actually involved in, you know, scams of online dating. That's how serious it is. And I will tell you, I've seen some devastating situations. So ultimately, you do have to be able to trust yourself enough to put yourself out there. And until you do that, you're not going to really know what to bounce things off. If you have a good support system, talk to your girls, talk to your guys. Sometimes that stuff that stays in your head can, you know, kind of grow and fungus, you know, and you create an entire world that's only in your head. So talk to somebody, vent to somebody, find your support group. And when you have that, if you do pick the wrong picker, you have the support group that says, no. Right. So, I mean, your support system is really important if you believe in them.
Great.
Yeah.
You want to add to that?
Yeah. If you've been in a relationship 20 years, then it's a natural process that you got to go through a grieving of the relationship that you have to go through. So it's going to be very uncomfortable. And I always tell people when you're going through something like that, if it's drugs, getting away from them, or in a relationship, or losing a business, whatever you're going through, it's a natural process of grieving that you got to go through, and it's okay. But you just don't let it overwhelm you because like too much water will drown you. So getting back out there, take your time. You won't know if your picker is broke or not, and it don't necessarily have to be broke if you've been in a relationship for 20 years. But you need to try to survive through that process that you got, that grieving process. Walk through that, walk through the pain. And a lot of times we don't like to walk through the pain. We don't like to feel the pain. We try to get into something that's gonna cover it up, like another relationship. Yeah, then you end up in a whole lot of bigger problem than you was before. So take your time and don't rush into anything, and do the courting things. You know, take your time, and because you haven't been out there in a while, and it's a lot, and things have really, really changed since you was out there.
And I wanted to add, just work on finding yourself and enjoying yourself, and because sometimes when you, I know a lot of girlfriends that ended marriages for years, 30 years, 34 years. So don't take on guilt about it, but just find yourself, find out who you are, and enjoy yourself. And you might need to get in some kind of the divorce care or some of these programs just to have some healing about it. And don't beat yourself up about. And men too, it's vice versa. Women leave men every day too, and just find some things to help you heal. Okay. This says, do men have broken pickers also? Give an example.
Okay.
We'll let you take that one.
Yeah, I'll go first on that one. Like I was reading in the Bible a while ago, cause in Genesis in the 3rd chapter, and God asked Adam, he said, "Who told you you was naked, and have you eaten from the tree?" And the first thing Adam said, "It was that woman you gave me," right? So he automatically blamed the woman. Then God asked the woman about eating the apple, and the first thing she said was it was that serpent. See, so one thing that we have naturally is that we blame other people for our things. So yes, men's pickers are broke too. We pick the wrong people. And when I'm doing a domestic violence class, and my main theme is to get the man defocused off of what she did and start focusing on what he did. And it just automatically I can get them going on their part for a second or two, then they go right back to what she did. So the most important thing for me is, and again, he has no power over her, or she has no power over him. The only thing I can do is fix me. And when I fix me, I start picking a whole lot better. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I think we might always focus on women, maybe because we hear it more, because women are more likely to maybe talk about it, and so men may not talk about it, but it is both ways. And I think it's interesting because a lot of times there's certain things maybe that I've learned over the years that I don't say in therapy, like broken. And now when I was hearing it, I noticed that I'll look at it, hey, we're bruised, we're bruised because of either what we've seen. And so, if I have a banana and it's bruised, I'm not throwing away the whole banana, but there's just that part that maybe I learned. And so I think the dynamics that all of us somewhere end up getting bruised. If we've had more than one relationship, if somebody, really was in love with one person more so than the other person was ready to be able to give, that does create an issue. If a man is looking for a female that has these certain qualities, because it presents to be this wonderful situation, but then when we realize what we have to be able to give and take, men will look for givers, women will look for givers, but if you're a giver, you attract takers. And the more you give, the more people have tendency to take, so you end up empty. So is the other person broken or that person broken? No, but I am empty, and I don't have anything left to keep clearing the checks you keep writing. So are we broken or are we balanced? And so being able, the one thing, I have people of every kind of, ethnic background or religion. The one thing they won't argue, because I guarantee they argue everything in the Bible. My grandfather would probably, like, hey, you should know that, but sometimes I don't. But the one thing I never have anybody argue is talking about being equally yoked. Nobody ever argues that when I pull that out. Being equally yoked. I want to give to you, and I want to give to you freely. But if I give to you and your bucket is broken or has holes, and all I keep doing is giving and all you keep doing is taking, but I'm never seeing that fulfillment, then that's way before me or beyond me. So, hey, maybe we're bruised and we have some holes. How do we mend those holes? First, we have to acknowledge, recognize, and then are you able to meet me where I'm ready to give it all? Are you ready to first receive it? Are you in a place you can receive what I have to give? But when I need it, do you have the capacity to give it back? So I don't know about broken, but definitely bruised, and just sometimes recognizing those.
Right. I love that. Thank you. Okay, this is our last question. How do I know when the broken picker is the source of choosing my relationships? How do I know when the broken picker is the source of choosing my relationship?
I think that's a good one because when I hear patients say, "I always pick the bad guy, I always, this," and I'm like, "Okay, let's slow down." So, who approached who? I'll ask about relationships. Were you the one to swipe? Were you the one to ask? Like, who approached who? Because it's interesting, you'll see women that don't get into certain situations, and I think it's because they're not seen. I was fortunate enough to work with repeated sex offenders for my graduate program, and that was a learning curve because it's difficult. These people are human and they have needs, but I had to shadow a guy who was what they consider somebody that has went through the program and but was somebody who was convicted. We went to Walmart and he showed me how to pick the people that he could make victims.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He showed me the mom that was very distracted and the kid that was running off, how he knew, oh yeah, her. As opposed to the mom that was very aware of her surroundings, maybe a little bit more strict with her kids. I can see it. He showed me how he picked the kids. I have two very different boys, and I knew I got this one loving, if you tell me your dog's lost, I'm gonna go help you find him. And then I have this other kid, he's like, I don't care about your dog, but he's gonna look for that kid. So fortunately for me, if somebody was looking at my child as, to maybe be a victim of something, because of me, I helped him. So I ask people, what people see you and what people do you see? So you notice, oh, well, I notice they're always approaching me. So what do they see when they look at you? Do you look like a confident person? Do you look like, hey, I'm going to question this? Because they look at somebody, we know it, but we just don't talk about it. You can go to a bar and be like, she's not feeling too good about herself. And we portray that. So what do people see? And if you're the one going for these guys, what is it you're seeing? Because it's not, if all the guys are bad, either they're seeing you or you're seeing them. So I would say that's where to start. I need to know, why am I looking for those kind of guys, or why are those guys seeing me?
Wow. I love that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think when I look at that part of it, what we have people to do in all our classes, all our classes are evidence-based. So what we have them do is, in all our classes, we have them do like an autobiography and look at their past. And in your past, really, if you look at your past tell you everything about yourself. So when I started, when you start looking at your past and you look at the men or the women that's been in your relationship, do they have the same personality? Do they look alike? Because like sometimes I buy a pair of shoes and I look in my closet, I got all the same kind of shoes, they just might be different colors, right? So it's the same thing with relationships. Sometimes we pick the same people, they just have different faces, but it's the same personalities. And so it's real important when you look at your family history, look at your dad, look at your mom, look at that. Look what kind of man your dad was if you had a dad, or what kind of men that you was earlier attracted to. So that's real important, knowing your history, knowing, because the picker is really your brain. And what forms that part of your personality is your beliefs, your attitude, and your habits that you develop over a period of time. So you have to really look at that personality, because that you can change that if you're willing to do some work on yourself. Because everything that looks good to you might not be good for you. You know what I'm saying? But you have to know that. And when I become whole, the word I like is insanity is being not whole, and insane means that I'm whole. And when I become whole in a person, then healthy people don't stay in unhealthy relationships. And that's the key part to the whole thing, whatever the relationship is. If it's drugs, because you do have a relationship with the drugs. If it's drugs, if it's gambling, if it's with a man or with a woman, whatever it is, the healthy people not going to stay in an unhealthy relationship. So your picker is broke when you're in a relationship and you've been in it, whatever it might be, and you stay in it. Intuitively, you know you need to be out of it, but you stay in that relationship. When people are telling you they've got your best interest involved, that you need to be out the relationship, and you still in the relationship, that's when you know your picker is broke.
One of the things I would like to kind of really piggyback on is that he brought up a really good part about, hey, we have to grieve, and you do have to grieve, and you have all these different stages of grief. You don't just grieve losing the person or the memories you had, but you also grieve the memories of the future. Hey, when we get this old and our grandkids, you still have to grieve that. and to be able to process through grief until we get to forgiveness is a really important thing. When we get to self-actualization and we're to a place, that means forgiving, which is actually really interesting. This morning on my Vitamin M Facebook, I actually posted a quote by Mandela where he said, when I actually walked through the gates, had I not forgave, I would have still been imprisoned. And I used that this morning. And so you'll see how early it was, because I typically don't get up that early, but it is on there. The thing about it is, free your mind. When he talked about the brain and the mind, free your mind or you're still in prison. So how can I get my picker to kind of be where it needs to be and my GPS to get back, to the equator that I live in, if I'm not balanced? And when you don't forgive, you carry that baggage. And so we want all these people and we want to love on people, but when we're carrying the baggage from our past, we're still in prison. So when you let go of a relationship, let go and forgive. Forgiveness is for you. And so how do I start and how do I know I get there? I can think about that person and I don't have anger. It doesn't mean that what they did was okay. It means I will not let the poison kill me. I let you go, and that's okay, and I'm going to heal that, but I need to heal this. Forgiveness is for you, and it starts here, and that's how you kind of know, I have forgave. Great book, Forgive for Good, is a wonderful place to start. But how do I start? I start with me releasing the poison, because it hurts you far more than it hurts anybody else. So I just wanted to add that forgiveness on to that piece. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Merle. Thank you. And thank you, William. And I just appreciate y'all. And I'm sure I'll be calling you back again to help us, because we just don't want to talk about it. We want to have a therapeutic view on these questions. Well, I was telling them, as we talked before, about, I watched a little series that was on Bravo called Dirty John. And I would advise men and women to watch that, because it was what Merle was talking about. This lady met a guy on the internet, and it was just, you got to watch the series. You can go, I guess, watch it on demand or find it, but Dirty John. And it's a true story. You can also Google it. It happened for real, and it's just really horrifying to see that, just to give you a little insight on a relationship went bad. But I hope that this series today helped you. What we want to do is just help people with information that people may not be talking about, or there might not be, you might not get this help in the church, or they're not really talking about these things in the church. And so we just wanted to share and talk about these things, and we'll have listed Merle's information and William's information if you want to reach out to them for further therapeutic issues and or set up appointments. You can do that. And we just hope you continue to subscribe to Sandra Renee Stanley Ministries on YouTube, and check us out, and what you gonna do with that lemon. Just remember, you can find us on Sandra Renee Stanley Ministries.com, also on Facebook, Sandra Renee Stanley, and subscribe to us, please, and follow us. If you're interested in being on our show, please notify me and let me know. Thank you so much.